I think everything is on my microphone. Okay, everything is working. Perfect. Hold on, I'm gonna clean my glasses. See, puppy. Okay, I'm blind. Sorry, cleaning my glasses off because they are very dirty. They need to be cleaned. Okay, I think that's better. Yep, that's way better. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. We're playing some Midnight Evil. Just to be safe. Oh my god, options. Sound. Headset. Crap. Options. Mode. Ripe pears are fit for a queen's table. There we go. Alright. So this is a horror game where you technically have to read. And that's why I wanted to get my microphone working. Because last time I played, my microphone was not working because I used my big, giant streaming microphone and it did not want to work. But I figured it out, and now we can start. Okay, then. As the clock approached midnight, William Grinkle was fast asleep. Hey, sleepy boy. Tonight was different, though. He woke to a strange sound coming from the attic. That's a nice portrait to have. Yeah. As he climbed the stairs, he felt something. Can this go any quicker? Where's my mouse? He had never seen this chest before. Just an innocent book. Tonight, his life would change forever. Nathan Sanders presents Midnight Evil. Alright. Alright, we ready? Alright, let's do it. Long before the first humans stood upright and took their place in the world, there was a beautiful land that was ruled by what many will come to call the Fae. These ancient beings were unworshipped. These ancient beings were worshipped by mankind, but they were also feared. Humans were right to be afraid, for there were many different creatures that lived in the darkness, watching us, waiting. Most were harmless enough, amusing themselves by causing mischief and playing pranks on humans that crossed their paths. However, some had more sinister intentions. The Urkling, for example, have developed a liking for the taste of human children. growl in my ear. Not into that. Dragons and dungeons. These monsters are small, unfortunately fast, and impossible to kill. It was an unlucky tragedy for many people that we decided to build our village here right in the middle of the Earthlings' territory. Alright, I wanted to see if that would work. It was an unlucky tragedy for my people that we decided to build our village right here in the middle of the Earthling territory. We have lost so many of our children over the past year. Oh, sorry. We have lost so many of our children over the past year. There aren't enough tears in this world to weep for their loss. Thankfully, though, my grandmother taught me well in the ways of my druid ancestors. Just wanted to see again. Okay. Thankfully, though, my grandmother taught me well in the ways of my druid ancestors. I may not be able to kill the little beasts, but I was able to work out a spell that binds them to this book. I can only hide it and pray that it never falls into the hands of a child. Oh shit, I don't like this also. Yeah, it's a horror game. And hello, Momo! If you're reading this, know that I'm truly sorry for the demons that have now been passed on to you. Opening the book will have awakened them, and I'm sure they will be ravenously hungry. Once the book is open, you must read it out loud from beginning to end in order to return them to their magical prison. Be watchful, they only attack if you don't see them coming. Most importantly, once you finish this book, keep it hidden so that no one ever opens it again.
WIGS FM 98.7 Game Talk.
Hello, darkness. My name is Nick Gloom.
Hello.
It's just me tonight. As you guys know, we answer game questions and talk tips and tricks. Well, Nate usually does. I don't really play most of those games. Anyway, let's get to the phones. First caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Nick. I'm wondering, how do I beat the final boss in Terminator Destruction?
How would I know that?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm stuck here working for crap money. I still can't afford to buy new Atari games. Would you like me to page Nate?
I don't
Here's
know.
the thing. Like I said, I'm working here. I don't usually come on the radio. So, I don't have as much of a bedside manner as Nate does. But it's totally fine. I bought a new OBasic book, which is the programming language for Otori, since I can't afford to buy my own Otori games, and I'm working on my own homebrew game. The pending title is Evil Midnight, where I'm not sure what you're going to have
Midnight
to do
Evil
yet,
sounds
but
like
I think it's going to be a
Oh,
horror game, and it's going
just
to be
wait.
at nighttime, and it's going to be evil.
Just wait.
Basically, you would do something all night, and then you would win. It's kind of like working here. I try to keep my head down all night, but Janet asks me to go on the air, and I'm always getting asked to do stuff. The more stuff I get asked to do, the more I get anxious and panic. It's a vicious cycle.
Is this some kind of life lesson? I just want to play Terminator.
Here's the thing.
Wartars. Alright. Another chapter. Little Maggie Or in... Hold on. O'Brien. Okay. Stop having a panic attack, you stupid. Okay. Little Maggie O'Brien was the first that, the children had been playing in Hogan's Forest when they all heard a noise. Sensing no danger because there were so many of them, 12 children in all decided to investigate the source of the strange sound. Dang it! Just because I messed up there. Because there were so many of them. 12. Okay. Sensing no danger because there were so many of them, 12 children in all decided to investigate the source of the strange sound. Get your butt out of here! As they all searched high and low, they soon realized that Maggie was missing. Get your butt out of here! Frantically, they began searching for their friend. Dang it, I can't read it from here. Frantically, they began searching for their friend. She was a small girl who loved to play hide and seek. Her big brother Colin insisted that she was probably hiding somewhere, safe and giggling to herself as she watched everyone search for her. Stop having a panic attack! I mean, yeah, I kind of would too. But, yeah. The sun sank low in the sky and the forest grew dark. The children, frustrated and panicking, ran back to the village to alert their parents that little Maggie was nowhere to be found. That's when everyone lit torches and spread out through the woods calling her name. Hold on, my phone is in the way. Okay. The little girl's mother sobbed desperately as we all inspected every corner of those woods in hopes of finding her. Just from reading a paragraph, calm down. Her brother kept searching, tears streaming down his cheek. I'm her big brother, he said, rubbing his eyes. I'm supposed to make sure nothing happens to her. It's not your fault, Colin. There's a period. It's not your fault, Colin. Screw you, game. That's a period. You stop at every period. Stop having a panic attack just from looking out at the back. Okay. It's not your fault, Colin, I assured him. There we go. We'll find her soon, and she'll be no worse for the wear. Get out of here, you old-looking grandpa gremlin thing. He nodded, forced a smile, and we all continued looking. Damn. May I ask what the dam was, or was it for the old-looking grandpa gremlin thing? The moment I heard him scream, I knew he found her. Or rather, what was left of her. Or rather, what was left of her, which wasn't much. We were sure it was Maggie because she had worn her favorite hair bow that day. Her father plucked the pink ribbon from the body and fell to his knees, wailing into the darkness. Poor Colin tried to tell us then. He said that she had been covered in what he described as little green men. We're okay. They were fat and green, he stammered with bright, glowing eyes. Something happened with my phone. Did I get a message? I did not get a message. It was Instagram. With bright glowing eyes, they were biting off bits of skin and flesh. Okay, we good? Front to the present. I love it. Atori. Atori is the people who created this game. They're amazing. Solves. Toastbusters. Okay. No one believed the lad. Just to double check. Okay. We all attributed the horrible ordeal to a hungry wild animal. Of course, what else could it possibly be? Scooping up what remained of little Maggie, the townsfolk set to work preparing for her funeral. We had no idea the horrors that lay ahead. Okay, we good? Okay, that's a huge coincidence. Why you have that's a little gremlin boy. One of these little green gremlin boys. I thought to myself how strange her wounds looked. What? Just breathe. I thought to myself how strange her wounds looked. Get back at the book. Yeah. I couldn't help but think back to what Cullen had said about the little green men. It made me think of the stories my grandmother used to tell me. She said that our druid ancestors spoke of tiny creatures that lived long ago in the swamps and marshes surrounding our lands. The Urklings, she called them. Get out of here! There were 3 tribes, each being their own breed of evil. One tribe, I recall, she said, were green and fat. I heard that. You trying to come from the hallway? They would lure children away from safety and feast on their flesh. Just breathe. See, we're almost done with the paragraph, little guy. Okay. We didn't live near any swamps. Surely the boy's mind was playing tricks on him. Besides, the Urklings weren't real. They couldn't be. They couldn't be. It's not really like Five Nights at Freddy's. It's, well, almost. It's sort of. Like, you're making sure that these little guys don't attack you. They only come up when you're not looking at them. And you're just mainly reading a book instead of looking at cameras. It doesn't really have the same concept as Five Nights at Freddy's, but it's similar in a certain way. Also, nipple fan. I mean, yeah. Okay. Maggie O'Brien's funeral was just what anyone would expect. Everyone did their best to comfort the grieving parents. Cullen kept to himself. Everyone assumed it was because he blamed himself. After his sister had been laid to rest, I came to him to ask him how he was doing. Get away from my door! He looked up at me, eyes red from either crying, lack of sleep, or a combination of the two, and said, I really saw them, the little green monsters. Can you not drop stuff in my house, please? Because I doubt you're picking it up. My heart ached as I put my arms around the boy. What? I don't know. I kept telling myself that seeing his little sister in pieces couldn't be easy for him. I'm back. Hello! Hello, Shadow Whisperer. Gamer. Oh, hello. He was just in shock. Can you stop breaking stuff in my house? The stories of the Earthlings were... Right as we were reading. The stories of the Earthlings were only told to scare children into doing what they were told. That was all. Dang it, I can't get that for that. The stories of the Earthlings were only told to scare children into doing what they were told. That was all. There. I got a data block. I got a data block? Okay, no clue what that is. The first thing my grandmother told me about the Earthlings was that there were 3 tribes. The green ones had round bellies and piercing blue eyes. She said that they could be heard if you walked deep into the swamp at night. Get out of my house! Get. Like, they would laugh and sing as they danced around their tiny campfires. Thought that was a period. They would laugh and sing as they danced around their tiny campfires, which would appear only as a tiny flickering lights through the trees. You got any bug spray? Spray the fuck out of them? I don't, and we can't get off the bed, sadly. That would be cool if we could just stand and just walk around the house. But sadly, we cannot. Bleh. Oh, come on, that one was weak. Okay. They were the last lethal of the 3 tribes, but every bit as evil. How did I not get that? They were the least lethal of the 3 tribes, but every bit as evil. There we go. The red ones were more temperamental and even faster than their green cousins. They didn't sing or dance around campfires, and their celebrations were a bit more gruesome. They preferred to eat children from the inside out. You know, I've been wondering, have you ever looked at my YouTube channel? I think I've browsed it once. The room looks nice though. It is a nice little room. It's nice and spread out. My room is a lot tinier than this. It's like from where the war towers is, from that little corner where the cursor is, from the corner down to like the back. It's a small room. And then a closet. It's just, yeah. I mean, it's not that bad. Not that bad. But there's not much room for like huge activities. I can't relate to the room. Yeah. I can't never relate to the room. Yeah. Why do you have a panic attack just from looking at the book? It was though by some that they were only red because they were stained by the blood of their victims. Fiery red bristle-like hairs sprouted from the tops of their heads, and their glowing yellow eyes seemed cold and calculating. We good? Little son. I think that is. I opened all my doors, even my window, and I don't like that. You're letting cold air in, you're letting the bugs in, you're letting the boogeyman in, and you're opening the door so I can hear my parents. I don't like that. Oh, I'm going to hell. The pale Earthlings were in another class altogether. They had white... Get out of here! They had white skin and wild, untamed blue hair that flowed out in every direction. The most unsettling thing about them was that they had no eyes at all. Yet, they somehow were the most keen and efficient killers of the 3. Grandmother said that their long, weary hairs could somehow sense the presence and locations of children. There were some things that all three tribes had in common. Earthlings preferred to eat after midnight, and would only attack if the child didn't make direct eye contact with them. I didn't get that because I messed up. Earthlings preferred to eat after midnight and would only attack if the child didn't make direct eye contact with them. There. I assured myself that the O'Brien girl being attacked barely after sunset meant that she had to be the victim of a wild animal attack. A few of the men in the village came together to hunt down the beast that killed the girl. They came back 2 days later carrying the carcass of a large wolf. Dang it! I thought that would work. Okay. That was my third time trying. They came back 2 days later carrying the carcass of a large wolf. The whole village breathed a sigh of relief, and a big celebration was held. The only one besides myself that remained anxious was Colin. The only one besides myself that remained anxious was Colin. Looking at his face that night, I knew that he believed the creatures that killed Maggie were still out there waiting. He was right. He was right. A GSFM 98.7 Talk.
Hello, darkness.
My old friend.
Welcome to the top of the hour. Again, I'm your host, Nick Gloom, filling in for Nate tonight. That was an interesting hour, I must say. I don't know, Janet. I feel like these kids don't like me. Hey, Janet, do you like me? And she's walking away, folks. Anyway, caller, you're on the air.
Hey, Nick. Just calling in, wanted to say that you suck.
I just had a feeling that that was coming. I feel like I'm not as approachable as Nate is. Oh yeah, so anyway, I forgot there's a sponsor slot I was supposed to fill last hour. This one goes out to all you greasy, pizza-faced listeners. Are you tired of popping pimples?
Ew, gross.
Do some zits appear over and over and you have to keep popping them?
Gross.
Kind of like that popular video game, Mole Whacker? From the creators of Simple Pimple comes the revolutionary cream, Pimple Buster. The all-in-one, scientifically formulated pimple-destroying cream. Call 155-PIM-PLES. But hurry, before supplies run out. That's 155-PIMPLES. You know, Janet, I think Evil Midnight could use some Mole Whacker inspiration. Something to keep the player on their toes. Or at least that last prank caller could drink some of that Pimple Buster. I don't know what it is.
Okay, there are 7 chapters, and we would be on the 3rd one, I believe. Yep, so we have 4 more after this. Okay. The next day, Maggie's mother visited her daughter's grave. The next day, Maggie's mother visited her daughter's grave, discovering something that was more than a little strange. How? The next day, Maggie's mother visited her daughter's grave, discovering something that was more than a little strange. The earth on the grave was disturbed as if something had clawed its way out. Where are you? The Germinate House. I couldn't help but remember what grandmother had said about the red Urglings. They would bury inside their victims and eat their way out. Chapter 3. Chapter 3, we have 7, so we have 4 after chapter 3. Could it be that we brought a whole tribe of them right into the village without even knowing it? The answer would come soon enough. Stop dropping stuff. Is it raining outside? It is raining outside. And this sucker left my window open. I like how our room is lit by candlelight right now. That's nice. And some stars and a moon and a sun and a lava lamp. And a stoplight. Okay. Jacob, hold on. Chapter 3. Jacob McLaren was found torn to shreds in his bed the following morning. Obviously, a wild animal hadn't attacked him inside his own house. Another devastated family and another funeral this soon after Maggie didn't sit well with anyone. Oh, I didn't hear that second boy come in. Oh, I didn't hear him come in either. Okay. The atmosphere became even more tense and uncomfortable. I insisted on inspecting Jacob's remains myself, just to reassure myself that there was nothing hiding inside. Colin approached me afterwards. Oh, sorry, I thought that was a bird. Colin approached me afterwards, asking what I was looking for. That's a period. Colin approached me afterwards, asking what I was looking for. You're dropping stuff all over my house. I told him it was nothing, but he knew better. You believe me about the monsters, don't you? Sorry. You believe me about the monsters, don't you? His young face was determined as he spoke. You're the only one that doesn't look at me like I'm crazy. I swallowed hard, started to deny it. But the words caught in my throat, and as much as I tried, I couldn't lie. Listen, I put my hands on his shoulders. I don't think you're crazy, but we need to be sure of what we're dealing with before we spark a full-blown panic. Tell me exactly what happened. Colin took a deep breath, working up his nerve. It was so dark, but I had a good torch. I called her name over and over. She didn't answer. Then I heard something. It sounded like chewing. I took a few more steps and saw her laying there. All over her were these fat little green monsters. They had mouthfuls of pointy teeth that looked like needles and massive clawed hands. Just then, a twig snapped under my foot, and they all stopped what they were doing and looked right at me. That's when I screamed and they scattered. They were gone before any of the grown-ups got to me. His eyes filled with tears at the memory. Please, tell me what they are. He has no more than 11. He was no more than 11 or 12, having just lost his sister and now his friend. No one believed him when he tried to tell us before. It couldn't have been easy, but he was opening up to me. It couldn't have been easy, but he was opening up to me. I felt it only right that I tell him what I knew. Oh! Okay, that made me jump. Okay. We sat together by the bonfire late into the night, and I told him all the old stories. Unfortunately, the one thing that my grandmother hadn't mentioned was how to get rid of them. I don't even know. Okay. Looking into the flames, I got an idea. I knew that most unholy creatures were repelled by fire. Well, Cullen folded his arms. We will just have to test what happens to an Earthling when it's on fire. Get a block. Oh, look at them! Got little Chris and a nice little lamp. Alright, let's do this. Chapter 4. Cullen wanted to tell his friends about the Earthlings, but I begged him to keep it a secret. They're coming in fast. If anyone knew that my grandmother had passed down her Druidic teachings, it would only take one person to scream, "Witch!" and I would be as good as dead. He agreed and kept my secret. I mixed a potion that would catch fire when touched by the teeniest flame. Surely this would send it screaming to the underworld. He sat quietly in his bed and waited, knowing he mustn't look them in the eye. He must let it attack, for this would be the only way to get close to it. Just after the stroke of midnight, he began to hear them chuckling and shuffling around in the dark. Clutching the potion bottle, hands trembling, he lowered his gaze and braced himself. Sure enough, one of them leapt from his bookshelf and sank its teeth into his flesh of the arms. I got another data block. Dang, they all need to calm themselves down. Okay. He screamed and unstopped the bottle. He screamed and unstopped the bottle, emptying the contents over the green Earthling. It tore a tiny round chunk from his arm and gulped it down, just as Cullen shoved a candle right into its face. Looks like Dobby. Wait. Dobby. Dobby, is that how you pronounce it? It lit up like a torch and made a horrific high-pitched scream as it ran around the room, trying to put itself out. The curtains caught fire as 4 more Earthlings sprung out from their hiding places. Cullen ran outside screaming and cradling his blood-soaked arm. Dobby. I don't know how to spell it. My bad. No, you're good. His parents soon joined him outside in a panic, trying to figure out what had happened. I heard you right in my ear. Just then, a tiny fireball came racing through the doorway and zigzagged towards the wood. I grabbed an empty jar from the cupboard and ran after it. The jar made a thunk sound. Okay, hold on. The jar made a thunk sound as it landed over the flaming Earthling, and the fire quickly went out. To my horror, the thing wasn't dead. It didn't even look like it was dying. Though blackened from being set ablaze, it was just as spunky as ever. Okay. Though blackened from being set ablaze, it was just as spunky as ever. I quickly scooped up the jar and screwed the lid on. As I made my way back, some of the villagers were trying to put out the fire inside the house, and others were tending to Cullen's arm, telling him that it must have been a rat. "I've never seen a rat quite like this," I shouted and held the jar up high so everyone could see. The instant they all looked in my direction, their jaws dropped and Cullen's face lit up for the first time since he'd lost his sister. Oh my gosh. The instant they all looked in my direction, their jaws dropped open and Cullen's face lit up for the first time since he'd lost his sister. He knew everyone finally saw that he had been telling the truth all along, and they all felt terribly ashamed for not believing him in the first place. Unfortunately, the joy of this small victory was short-lived. For over the next 3 days, we tried every method we could think of. Okay. For over the next 3 days, we tried every method we could think of to kill the little wretch, but no matter what horrific thing we did, it didn't die. It startles me. TED Talk. GXFM 98.7 Game Talk. Those trolls are so ugly. Yes, they are. My old friend.
I'm your host, Nick Gloom, in for Nate tonight, as we dive deep into Game Talk. Sorry about those technical issues we experienced last hour. I think Janet might have fallen asleep. For those of you that missed
Makes
it,
me want to pull their
we were
ears
having
out.
an interesting discussion about game difficulty and learning curves. You know, Nate likes Dragons and Dungeons, but apparently I'm dumb for thinking it's too difficult. Apparently, kids can play it. So what do I know? Kinda like my work in progress, Evil Midnight, which, as I mentioned earlier, if you weren't around, is going to be more of a horror game.
And stick the ears up there. Oh yeah.
I'm not really sure, but I would imagine in
You
a
know
game
this.
like that,
Oh yeah.
confusing the player could be an evil tactic. Something like grooming them up to expect one thing and then yank the rug out, so to speak. Anyway, I'm rambling.
Cracking my back.
Hello, caller, you're on Game Talk. Must have lost him. Hello, caller, you're on Game Talk. Very funny, guys. Caller, you're on Game Talk.
He's dead. Alright. Another chapter, I'm guessing chapter 5? Chapter 5. We have 2 more chapters after this one. First, we tried drowning it. We even had the priest bring us holy water when water from the well didn't work. It's the white one with the no eyes. We cut off its head, but as soon as we snipped its neck, the head grew in a new body, and the body grew a new head. Then we had 2 angry Urglings in jars. It was immune to every kind of poison that we knew of. It could heal quickly from any cuts it sustained. We even tried squishing it flat, but it would just puff back up in a matter of a few minutes. Fast breathe, kid. By this point, the Urglings had infested every corner of the village. Parents had to stand guard over their sleeping children. Between the stroke of midnight and the first lit of dawn, they became absolutely ravenous. It appeared that there was nothing else we could do. As much as I hated the thought of disturbing my grandmother, I knew that she was the only one that might be able to give me an instant as how I could get rid of them. Well, that worked. I asked Colin to meet me in the secret at her grave. Shish! I brought grandmother's old spirit board with me, which had every letter of the alphabet on it. A Ouija board. Colin and I placed a small glass cup upside down in the center of the board and waited. Any data cubes? No? None? Yeah, okay. The idea was that her spirit would guide the cup to the letters, and in doing so, spell out a message to me. Grandmother, I spoke aloud. I really need your help. Speak to us. Your magic is the only thing that can save these children. Your magic is the only thing that can save these children. We waited, but we were met with only silence. Please, grandmother, I pleaded. I don't know what to do. I would do anything to save these children. Anything. Just tell me what to do. Please. I begged her to answer me. But the glass didn't move, and no answer would come from the spirit board that night. Sorry. As we snuck back to the village, we were greeted with the news of 3 more deaths. the widow Adams had fallen asleep guarding her 3 little ones. The widow Adams had fallen asleep guarding her 3 little ones. She always worked so hard, toiling in the fields from dawn until dusk to make sure her family was fed. After she lost her husband to sickness, she was the only caretaker for her children. Now they were gone too, and she was truly alone. As I lay in my bed crying, I felt responsible for what was happening. Can't get that. As I lay in my bed crying, I felt responsible for what was happening. I hadn't paid much attention as a child when my grandmother tried to teach me the old ways. If I had been a better student, I could have spread my people so much Oh, wait, what? I didn't even finish reading that. Eventually, I drifted off to sleep. It was only then that my grandmother finally came to me in a dream and told me what I must do if I wanted to rid the village of the Earthlings once and for all. You little shite. Now I have to read that whole thing again. First, we tried drowning it. We had the priest bring us holy water when water from the well didn't work. We cut off its head, but as soon as we snipped its neck, the head grew a new body, and the body grew a new head. Damn it. We even had the priest bring us holy water when water from the well didn't work. We cut off its head, but as soon as we snipped its neck, the head grew a new body, and the body grew a new head. It looked like an old... yeah. Then we had 2 angry Earthlings in jars. It was immune to every kind of poison that we knew of. It could heal quickly from any cuts it sustained. We even tried squishing it flat, but it would just puff back up in a matter of a few minutes. By the point, the Earthlings had infested every corner of the village. Parents had to stand guard of their sleeping children between the strokes of midnight and the first light of dawn. They became absolutely ravenous. It appeared that there was nothing else we could do. As much as I hated the thought of disturbing my grandmother, I knew that she was the only one that might be able to give me any insight on how I could get rid of them. I asked Colin to meet me in the secret at her grave. I brought grandmother's old spirit board with me, which had every letter of the alphabet on it. Colin and I placed a small glass cup upside down in the center of the board and waited. The idea was that her spirit would guide the cup to the letters, in doing so spell out a message to me. Grandmother, I spoke aloud. I really need your help. Speak to us. Your magic is the only thing that can save these children. How many pages are there? I am not sure. But this is our 3rd time having to read this. That was our 2nd jump scare with chapter 5. Just because I didn't see the little green guy. I had no clue where the heck he was at. Alright, time for more speed reading. First, we tried drowning it. Oh my gosh, already? We even had the priest bring us holy water when water from the well didn't work. We cut off its head, but as soon as we snipped its neck, the head grew a new body, and the body grew a new head. Then we had 2 angry Earthlings in jars. It was immune to every kind of poison that we knew of. It could heal quickly from any cuts it sustained. We even tried squishing it flat, but it would just puff it back up in a matter of a few minutes. By this point, the Earthlings had infested every corner of the village. Parents had to stand guard over their sleeping children. Between the strokes of midnight and the first light of dawn, they became absolutely ravenous. Between the strokes of midnight and the first light of dawn, they became absolutely ravenous. It appeared that there was nothing else we could do. As much as I hated the thought of disturbing my grandmother, I knew that she was the only one that might be able to give me any insight as how I could get rid of them. I asked Colin to meet me in the secret at her grave. I brought grandmother's old spirit board with me, which had every letter of the alphabet on it. Colin and I placed a small glass cup upside down in the center of the board and waited. The idea was that her spirit would guide the cup to the letters and, doing so, spell out a message to me. Grandmother, I spoke aloud. I really need your help. Speak to us. Your magic is the only thing that can save these children. Your magic... How did I get 2 data blocks? From that guy. Okay, then. Your magic is the only thing that can save these children. We waited, but we were met with only silence. Please, grandmother, I pleaded. I don't know what to do. I would do anything to save these children. Anything. Just tell me what to do, please. Just tell me what to do, please. I begged her to answer me, but the glass didn't move, and no answer would come from the spirit board that night. But the glass didn't move, and no answer would come from the spirit board that night. As we snuck back to the village, we were greeted with the news of 3 more deaths. The widow Adams had fallen asleep guarding her 3 little ones. She always worked so hard, toiling in the fields from dawn until dusk to make sure her family was fed. After she lost her husband to sickness, she was the only caretaker for her children. Now they were gone too, and she was truly alone. As I lay in my bed crying, I felt responsible for what was happening. I hadn't paid much attention as a child when my grandmother tried to teach me the old ways. Not gonna let that little green freak get me today. Alright, again, yeah. If I had been a better student, I could have spared my people so much misery and death. Eventually, I drifted off to sleep. It was only then that my grandmother finally came to me in a dream and told me what I must do if I wanted to rid the village of the Earthlings once and for all. But their imprisonment would come at a terrible price. Finally, I finished that chapter. Got a new data block. 2 more chapters. Oh. Another bot. I found myself walking through the dark forest. The damp earth under my bare feet felt cool and mossy. In the distance, I could hear drums. A bright light was shining through the trees. I continued cautiously, unsure of what to expect when I entered the clearing. As I came closer, I could see people dancing around the fire. A beautiful woman stood with her hands outstretched towards the sky. I came closer. I could see people dancing around the fire. As I came closer, I could see people dancing around the fire. A beautiful woman stood with her hands outstretched towards the sky. It took a moment before I recognized her. Grandmother, is that you? Hello, dear. I heard your call, but I could not come to you. I had to wait until you fell asleep to bring you here. What is this place? I asked, looking around. This is where all of our people go when their time on Earth ends. Can I stay here with you? No, my darling, I'm afraid you can't. I could see the sorrow in her eyes as she put a sympathetic hand to my cheek. In fact, if you really mean to imprison all the Earthlings, you will never be allowed to take your place here. My heart sank like a stone. What do you mean? I looked at that little sucker. Alright, well, we gotta read that again. Alright, you know what? We got through that. We do have 2 more. I've been streaming for an hour. I am gonna stop for right now because I got stuff to do. So, I shall see you guys in the